We stayed for 10 days in Lone Pine, California, and that's what I'm going to discuss in this video, what we found and what we felt, what our thoughts were on this campground and on this area. So stay tuned. Overall, we really enjoyed Lone Pine. Lone Pine is a cool area, and I'm definitely glad we come. And honestly, we enjoy most places. There's always something good you can find, and there's always detractors. It's just the importance is that the good outweighs the bad. For Lone Pine, the first day was the drive over. We left Dyer and drove to Boulder Creek RV Park, just on the other side of Lone Pine, which is a nice RV park. The campground hosts were really nice. They even give us an extra site that was right beside us to park our trailer. Couldn't stay hooked up. Their sites are not long enough. I think their max length is 65 foot. But they do have a place to park trailers, and in this case, they let us park right next to us, which was awesome. Really good people, really enjoyed it. There are a lot of things to do in this area. Unfortunately, we were at the beginning of April. Still quite a bit of snow in the area. Some roads that were closed, they're still working on, probably from the winter storms, rock slides, and, overall, couldn't necessarily do everything we had wanted to do. But we were able to go to drive the movie road. We drove it in the Jeep, and we also drove it on the side-by-side. Side-by-side's an interesting question, and I've had a couple comments ask me about, where you can ride the side-by-side. And to be honest, I don't know what's legal and what's not there. Everybody I asked said dirt roads, but then I know they ride in movie road, and on the road outside of Boulder Creek, there's a sign that says UTV crossing here, which takes you straight onto a paved road that goes over to the movie road. So I don't know. I looked online and tried to find what was said, and everybody I asked gave me different answers. So I don't really know what to tell you. What we did is ours is a street legal side by side. We are tagged, insured, with all the requirements to be on the road. So we felt that it was okay for us to ride like on the movie road. We did not ride down the highway. Obviously, that's never a good idea if it's over like 45. We try to stay off of them because that's usually the rules. But I know California is different. We also had the OHV sticker, California sticker. Not sure if we needed it. Some places it looked like we did. Some things I read said we didn't. I don't know. We had the OHV California sticker. We needed it for Borrega Springs when we were there, so we had it for that anyway. As far as the trail riding, there's some good and some bad. We did ride through Movie Road, which is awesome, but there are no real signs for where what movie was shot where, or at least only a few. So make sure you take a map with you before you get on the road so that you know what is, so you know what you're looking at. You can also get some of the coordinates. I know on Cerro Gordo Ghost Town, on one of his videos, he does put the coordinates of several of the movie sites. One of them is on the road going up Cerro Gordo, which is the Iron Man, the opening scene where you first see Iron Man walk out in the costume. That's on the Cerro Gordo road. But you can also take a map. I found a map online that we were able to drive around and find like the trimmer site and all that. Very cool. We couldn't do the whole movie loop road because part of that road was closed off. There was the road going up to Mount Whitney was closed. I don't know, probably because of snow still, because we're early in season. So like I said, we made our best guess of where we could ride. But there are some things you have to ride on the road to get to. In fact, almost anywhere you have to get on the road, at least from Boulder Creek. When you're on Boulder Creek, you have to get on some roads to go anywhere. One of the things I will say is Boulder Creek is right next to Owens Lake. And on windy days, the wind does blow, and it can get kind of dusty. You can have some problems with air quality, so just be aware. But with that said, um, the other RV parks we saw there, unless you're planning on boondocking, and there is quite a bit of boondocking in the Alabama hills, which are beautiful. I think Boulder Creek's a good option there. It's a nice RV park, swimming pool, hot tub, all the amenities that we never use. But it's a nice RV park, so definitely worth staying there. Some of the other things in the area is the museum, the Film History Museum, which if you like museums and you like movies, it's a great museum. I'm a huge Tremors fan. I don't know why. It's a stupid movie, but I am a huge fan. So enjoyed seeing that and all the Tremors stuff there. Also all the John Wayne movies that were shot there, and Lone Ranger, and a whole bunch of movies have been shot there. So I did a video on the museum in Manzanar, and that's the other one is Manzanar, the Japanese internment camp. Not far outside of town, easy to get to, and it's well worth a visit. We saw the one that was in Idaho, and then, so this is our second one we had been to, so we were a little more understanding what happened and had time to figure out our feelings about it. And it's part of history. It was choices made at the time, and it's definitely interesting seeing and worth going in. You could probably spend, the museum, if you really like museums and like walking through that stuff, you could spend an hour or so or two there. It's not a huge museum, but it is a museum. Manzanar is the same way. If you really are interested in the historical aspects of it and you really want to see everything and watch the movies, and you could spend a couple hours there and then walk around on it and walk around to the barracks and some of them that have been recreated. Pretty interesting stuff. So glad we did that. It was interesting to see another site and learn a little more about history. The other things that I had really wanted to do while we were there was to take the side-by-side out to Reward Mine. Now, I have mixed feelings about that. I'd seen all kinds of videos about Reward Mine online, but somehow in my mind, I thought that you were taking a trail, and when you got up to a certain point, you'd find the mine, and you go in, you'd ride through the mine, and then you'd go out and continue on the trail. That's not the case. You are riding down a dirt road that's not that far from the highway. It's maybe a mile off from the highway, but it's just a dirt road, an old dirt road. You ride down very short distance. You kind of climb up to the mine, the old mine road up there, but you can almost see the highway from there, maybe a mile away or something. It's not far. So it's not really on a trail, is what I'm saying. You just kind of ride to the mine, go through the mine as far as you want to. We went in the mine, but we didn't go far because claustrophobic, not doing it. But we were there when the Teslas went through, which was pretty awesome. All of them went in the mine. I'm like, that's awesome. But I did some research on it, and you should research Reward Mine. It's really interesting. But just know that you're not on a trail. It's a site. It's a destination, and the only thing there is for you to ride through it. Then you come back out, you get on the road and go somewhere else. So it's probably 30-minute ride down the back dirt roads to get to Reward Mine from Boulder Creek. And then, so then it's another 30 minutes back to find other trails. There weren't really any other trails in that area that we could find. There may be, but we couldn't find them. As far as the area to ride, the trails, we did the Salt Tram Mine, or Swansea Trail, it's also called. That was an amazing ride. Not really a newbie ride. If you're afraid of heights, if you haven't got much experience going up and down hills, maybe not the best choice, because there's just really one spot that you do right up the hill, and I did the video on that, and if you're interested, you can look that up. Where I did the drone flight of us going up it, and it wasn't bad. It wasn't horrible for an experienced person, but someone without experience, probably not a great choice. Probably should have side by side with you, so in case you have a problem. We don't. Um, Unfortunately, we just usually don't have anyone else to ride with, which is unfortunate. But so if we didn't ride by ourselves, we'd never get to ride. So it is what it is. But beautiful trail. I did a whole video on it, so I'm not going to talk more about it. But the salt tram was awesome, seeing that, walking around there. And then it takes you all the way around until you get to Cerro Gordo Ghost Mine. I did not do a video on the Ghost Mine, or the Ghost Town Mine, because Cerro Gordo is so well documented from the owner there and his YouTube channel. Really no sense in me doing anything on it. But very cool drive to get there. Still a little early in the season, so there was snow and made it a little more challenging, but so cool and so much diversity. The other thing we did, and I haven't really done a video, I'll put a few clips here about it, was we went the other way, just up to Cerro Gordo, and went back towards Death Valley. And we actually rode all the way into Death Valley before we realized that we probably weren't supposed to be there with the side-by-side. So we rode around. There's some more trails that way, and probably some more off to the side that we didn't do. So much was closed, and then there was a few days when it was bad weather when we were there. It was really, really windy, cold and windy. Just not going to get out in that kind of dust because it was blowing right off the lake. But we did have a great time riding there. I'm sure there's more trails that we didn't get, but I will say, if you're planning on spending a lot of days riding, you can spend a day riding easily in Alabama hills, and a day on the Swansea Trail, and another day around the Cerro Gordo mine and up through there. You know, maybe a couple days in Alabama hills. Reward mine, half a day. And that's really only ones we found. Now there are more on down, but we'd have had to trailer to them. And in Independence and in Bishop, you'd need to, you know, either trailer there or plan your trip so that you spend some time in Bishop, maybe in Independence. I know there's trails there, and then in Lone Pine. There's some of the trails that were still closed, so I'm sure there's more. There was a Lavender Farm that has been burned, that the road stopped there. They were still working on that, and there may have been trails off that way. It looked like there were. We couldn't get to them. So overall, my rating of Lone Pine, well worth doing. Really glad we went there. I don't think I would necessarily, like, we wouldn't have just come from Florida if that was the only thing we were going to do was Lone Pine. There's not that many trails, but it was kind of along our path of a plan, and I really wanted to see Lone Pine and the film theater, the Alabama hills, the whole experience of spending a couple weeks there. We spent 10 days. That was plenty for us there, for us to do what we were able to do. We could have done more had the roads been open, but great town. As far as grocery stores, they have a small grocery store. The prices are indicative of it being in California and a small store in the middle of nowhere. They're always going to cost more, but they had good meats, and they had, you know, anything you would need there. No big grocery stores or anything there. It is another hour and a half, 2-hour drive to get to Death Valley. We had planned on doing that, but it was about a 2-hour drive just to get to Death Valley, to anything you'd want to see. So we're going to plan Death Valley another trip. That would have been a fun drive, but you cannot ride the side-by-side through there. So I kind of looked that up to see, because I knew we could get there from Cerro Gordo, but you're not supposed to ride side-by-side. So, you know, you are an hour and a half, 2 hours. So if you're planning it, plan your trip accordingly to spend some time in Death Valley. In town, there is gas stations. You can't drive. We didn't drive our side-by-side to them. I don't know that you can drive in town. We didn't do that because we weren't sure. So we just got gas cans and brought out and filled up the side-by-side with it. There are no truck stops there. Like for us, we have to have a truck stop or a place big enough that we can pull the camper in, we have to fill on both sides of the camper. So a truck stop, you fill the driver's side and the passenger has a satellite pump. If we don't have that, then we can't totally fill our tank, or we have to turn around, pull up to the other one and let it fill, because it takes a little while for it to filter over. We had enough fuel. We're fine. We have a lot of we carry a lot of fuel, so we were fine to get all the way to Reno to the next fuel station. The closest truck stop was the Pilot in Tonopah before we got to Dyer, Nevada. So just saying, if you're driving a big rig, know that there are gas stations though for you to fill up with gas and diesel. They're just not the big truck stops. Like I said, overall, we really enjoyed Lone Pine. It's a beautiful area. What Mount Whitney would have been incredible to have seen, to have went up at least as far as we could have, or to have done some hiking, but that was still closed at the time. So we weren't able to do that. So I think I've answered most of the questions I had about it, and our thoughts. Like I said, really nice RV park, nice area. Everybody there was very friendly. And I know there's a lot to do. Oh, the other thing I want to say, Independence and Bishop. There's also a museum in Independence. We did not go to it. It's supposed to be really awesome. Have a lot of the Cerro Gordo mine information there. And also Bishop. I would have loved to have explored Bishop some and went through the town. We just didn't get over there to do that. Sometimes that happens. But there is a bakery there called Eric Schatz Bakery, I think it's called, that is supposedly famous and has incredible food. Would have loved to have checked that out. So if you're in that area, definitely make it a point to go to Bishop and explore those little shops. I would have loved to have done that. Just didn't get over there. So that's pretty much it on our review of Lone Pine. I will say the roads to get there were fine. And then we took 395 all the way up to Reno, other than the flat tire. It was a great road, which, the flat wasn't the road's fault. But the easy drive to get there and an easy drive all the way up 395. And 395 is beautiful. I would love to check out more of that area in the future. I didn't know what I was there. And we were heading to Reno. We had other stops to make. So couldn't explore a lot of the stuff along there, the lakes and all that are along that way. But great drive. So I hope this helps. This is kind of an overview of Lone Pine, what we thought, what there is to do. So if you have any questions, please let me know. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment. Thanks for watching.
Tell you that I love you 100 times a day. You'll get tired of my voice. That's how much I'm gonna tell you that I'll miss you. I'll miss you if you go. Yes, I'm gonna let you know just how much I tell you, mama. I tell you, papa, too. Tell you